Hello everybody and welcome to part 13 of What If Midoriya had an Anti-Quirk Sword and many other things that are kind of lifted from Black Clover but had a lot of inspiration from you guys in the comment section, commenting what you guys wanted. If you're here, you probably aren't new since we're in part 13, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you're new, please hit that subscribe button to help the channel grow. And if you enjoy the video, you can always hit that like button. If you have missed any of the parts of this series, there'll be a link in the description below, and in the annotation above. In the last episode, Midoriya, with the help of All Might, managed to capture Tomura Shigaraki, who is now in prison in Tartarus prison, as he is extremely dangerous and that's the prison for the most dangerous people. After those events, a couple of days pass. The students gather at UA to leave for their training camp. Aizawa says, "Now that you have finished your first semester at UA High, it's time for summer vacation to officially begin. However, don't think these will be months of rest for you heroes in the making. This camp will push you beyond your limits. Your aim is to become plus ultra." The whole class says yes to Mr. Aizawa. Uraka goes to Midoriya and says, "I'm so psyched! I've been looking forward to this camp all semester, Deku." Deku gets a bit flustered, covering his face as he says, "Oh yeah, it's definitely close, huh?" Uraka asks, "Hey, what's the matter?" And Midoriya says, "I'm just a little hot," like covering his face. And Uraka thinks back to the incident between her and Aoyama in the final exam. She gets flustered and runs back saying, "Let's hear it for camp!" And the whole class starts cheering. Monoma comes up saying, "I heard some of Class A are taking extra courses. Does that mean you failed? How embarrassing, especially since you're supposed to be so much better than my class. All you must be wallowing in shame." And he's hit over the head by Kendo. She says, "Don't mind him." The two classes greet each other and then they start boarding their respective buses. After an hour of driving, the Class 1A bus stops. The students take the opportunity to stretch their legs a bit, thinking it's just a pit stop. Mineta starts looking for a bathroom when the wild pussycats appear, at least Pixie Bob and Mandalay, and present themselves. Aizawa says, "These are the pro heroes you will be training with on the training camp." And Midoriya starts freaking out about who they are and starts explaining who they are. Mandalay says, "We own this stretch of land, everything you can see." She points out a specific spot and says, "The place you'll be staying at is right there, at the base of the mountain." The class says, "That's far." And Uraka asks, "Then why did we stop all the way out here instead?" Tsuyu says, "I'm afraid we both know the answer to that." And Sato says, "That can't be right." As Sarah says, "Quickly, let's get back on the bus." Mandalay looks at the clock and says, "The current time is 9:30 in the morning. If you are fast about it, you might make it there by noon." The students start running to get out on the bus as Mandalay says, "Those kittens who don't get there by 12:30 won't get any lunch." And they are thrown into the forest by Pixie Bob's quirk. While they are falling, Mandalay says, "Good news! Since this is a private land, you can use your quirks as much as you want. You have 3 full hours. You should be able to make it to the facility in that time. That's it if you can get through the beast's forest." Mineta runs into the forest trying to find a place to pee, but is attacked by a giant mutt monster before he can find one. Kodo tries to stop the monster with his quirk, but it doesn't work. The monster is about to strike Mineta, but Midoriya reacts quickly, making a shield and running to Mineta's side, blocking the attack. Midoriya, while blocking things, Koda has the ability to control animals with his voice. This one immune? He sees a piece of mud fall off the monster and says, "A dirt clod? Oh, I get it, it's Pixie Bob's quirk," as Todoroki and Bakugo rush to destroy the monster. The students start making their way to the forest through the forest, as Aizawa talks with Mandalay about how much work has to be done if they're going to get their provisional licenses. They basically want to squeeze a whole semester's worth of work into this one week. In the forest, Todoroki freezes the feed out of one of the monsters. Bakugo jumps in, blowing one of its arms, and Midoriya goes in, destroying the other, then slashing at the body, all in one move. Sato comes to them and says, "You guys took that beast down in seconds!" And Zero says, "It was awesome!" Kirishima says to Bakugo, "You showed that thing who's boss." Midoriya uses his ki and Bakugo says, "We aren't alone. We aren't done." Just as Midoriya says, others are coming this way. The class starts complaining a bit on how unfair the situation is. Zato says, "If we don't make it back fast enough, then we don't get anything to eat." Yorozu steps in and says, "He's right. We have no choice but to cut through these woods using the shortest possible route." Ida says, "Let's go, Class A." All of them agree. The students start making their way through the woods, using their quirks to destroy any obstacles, like any of the dirt monsters that are in their way. About 7 hours pass, and the students arrive at camp, pretty much around the same time they do in the main version of events, except for a couple minutes, like maybe 20 minutes earlier or 20 minutes later, I don't really know. Once they arrive, Pixie Bug says, "Meow meow meow. I thought it would take you kids a lot longer, but you did much better against my dirt monster than I thought you would. You guys were seriously great, especially these three of you." As she points at Todoroki, Bakugo, and Midoriya, she jumps at the three students saying, "I call dibs on these kittens. I'll groom them myself." Midoriya spots Koda and asks who he is. Mandalay answers and Midoriya goes to introduce himself, only to get punched in the nuts. Koda then turns and leaves. Ida rushes to Midoriya's aid, saying, "What a low blow, you fiend of a child! A punch to the scrotum is unforgivable!" Koda turns to Ida and says, "The last thing I want is to hang out with some wannabe heroes." Ida exclaims, "Wannabe? How old are you, kid?" Bakugo says, that brat's got spunk, and Todoroki says, "He's like a mini version of you." Bakugo turns and says, "How dare you!" After that interaction, the students go to dinner, and then the hot springs to relax. Minato can resist himself, and of course, as he does in the main version of events, he tries to take a peek at the girls' side of the bath, but is stopped by Koda, who was watching the walls. The girls thank him, but upon seeing them, Koda stumbles back and falls. Midoriya quickly reacts, rushing as fast as he can, catching the boy. Midoriya takes him to Manly so he can receive medical attention since he is unconscious, finds out about Koda hating heroes because his parents died. The next day, the students wake up around 5 o'clock in the morning. Aizawa gathers his students outside and asks Bakugo to throw the ball like he did in the first day of school. Everyone thinks he's gonna throw it super fast, but super far, but Bakugo only throws it 709.6 meters. Zero says, that's it? Kind of disappointing. Aizawa then says, "You've had a single semester at UA, and due to your experiences, you have all definitely improved. But those improvements have mostly been due to mental and technical skill, with a slight increase in stamina thrown in along the way. As you can see, your quirks themselves have not improved much on a fundamental level. That's why we're going to focus on improving your powers. This will be so hard you'll feel like you're dying. Let's hope you all survive," as he smiles. In this version of events, Midoriya spends most of the time at camp trying to perfect and learn how to control his black form. As he does, he realizes his black mist starts turning a bit greenish, and at night he's having increasingly more nightmares, where a demonic figure keeps coming out of his shadow and trying to make a deal with him. The days of the training camp quickly pass, with the students having trained a lot and developed the beginning of special moves. This is because in this version of events, the League does not attack, like the Vanguard Action Squad does not come along, and all the students have the full 7 days to train. After the training camp is over, the students keep going to school every day to practice and develop some skills and ultimate moves, and new fighting styles even, and also upgrading their gear. Midoriya uses this time to practice his ki, black form, special attacks, even coming up with some new form. He does get some better armor for his main suit and a couple other support items that he can use for long range attacks. Midoriya and Bakugo also have come to a better understanding with each other, becoming better rivals and helping each other grow a bit through some sparring matches. Days turn into weeks, and before you know it, the day of the provisional license exam arrives. They arrive at the end of the exam. They arrive at the exam building and step out of the bus. The students look around, and Jiro says, "I'm getting kind of nervous." Mineta says, "I wonder what they're going to make us do. What if I can't get my license?" Aizawa comes down to Mineta's to make eye contact with Mineta and says, "Mineta, don't ask if you can. Say you will." Mineta stiffens up, saying, "Right, sure. I so got this." Aizawa gets up and says to the class, "If you can pass this test and get your provisional license, then you novice eggs will hatch into chicks. You'll be semi-pros. I expect your best." Kirishima says, "Let's call out the usual, you guys. On my mark, go plus," and they're interrupted by Inasa saying, "Ultra!" The other schools have the interaction with Class 1A and goes pretty much the same as in the main version of events. I'm a bit too lazy to write this. The students head to the orientation, where a very sleepy man explains what the situation will be. He says, "Okay, let's do this exam thing then. I'm from the Hero Public Safety Commission. The name's Mira. I've been swamped lately, and you haven't gotten much rest. We're too short-staffed. I'm so tired." With that confession, I'll now begin orientation. So about the content of the license thingy. We have around 1,540 examinees completing a free-for-all exercise or whatever we're calling it this year. See, we have a lot of pros around, and since Dane was arrested, many people expressed doubts about the status of heroes in society. But when you really think about it, getting paid makes sense. If you're going to risk your life to save someone, why shouldn't you get a reward, huh? It's just the way the world works. Anyway, doesn't matter. While you're in it, God, I need some coffee. We got too many heroes working together in the streets these days. Honestly, the time between when an incident begins and it's resolved is ridiculously short. You'll be swept in the mess pretty soon, so those of you who don't have the speed will be tested here. The first 100 of you will, to fulfill the requirements will pass on to the second round. The examinees start freaking out about this, and the man just continues. Anyway, what you have to do, you'll be wearing 3 of these discs in your body, and will receive 6 balls. You want to have the balls touch all 3 discs of your opponents to eliminate them. The one who touches the disc gets the point. You need 2 points to pass, understand? And most students nod. The walls drop, and the man says, "You have a few minutes to get situated around. Look for the place to best use your powers." The exercise starts, and what originally was the Massacre of UA unfolds very differently in this version of events, since the students had a lot of time to train, because the training camp wasn't cancelled and they had class afterwards. Class 1A actually gets the advantage in this situation. The most useful ones in the situation are actually Midoriya, Ida, and Zero. Midoriya goes around making small cuts in his opponents, using his black form to fly around and get around quicker, and managing to dodge all of his opponent's attacks at the same time, disabling their quirks. Ida then runs around catching those students in Zero's tape, so they end up capturing about 50 people. But some of the students from Shiketsu and other schools escaped while they had the chance. The students recover and are about to go around eliminating people when Inasa takes down about 100 people, passing to the next round. The students of Class 1A minus the other 2 groups, which are Kirishima, Bakugan, Kaminari, and Todoroki, eliminate their trapped targets before Midoriya's quirk stops taking effect, passing to the second round very quickly. The rest of them, by the time 50 people have passed, they manage to pass to the next round. Time passes as the students recuperate from the first exercise, and the second part of the exam is announced. Now, for convenience, it's going to be the same as in canon, as I do believe it wouldn't be the same because the events in Camino never happened in this version of events. The second exercise begins, and Class 1A divides into many smaller groups to be able to save more people. Each and every group of them runs into pretty much the same problem, not having practiced this scenario before, but they quickly gain a handle on it. They rescue many civilians. Midoriya, rescuing about 4 people before returns to a temporary camp that the hero set up when Gang Orca shows up with a bunch of minions to attack the civilians. Midoriya reacts, going after Gang Orca, and with the help of many other students, including Todoroki and Inasa, who are persuaded to help out earlier than in the main version of events, they manage to defeat Gang Orca and save everyone a lot faster than in the regular version of events. The students change clothes and then go to receive their scores. This version of events, because Bakugo's attitude has changed a bit, Todoroki and Inasa worked out their differences quicker, and because Class 1A is a lot stronger, all students pass. But they have no idea what's to come in their near future, as a couple days later, a man dressed in a suit and wearing a life support mask walks out of a portal onto a bridge leading to Tartarus prison, and followed by a large group of over 30 people and a giant walking right next to them. Anyway, I'm leaving it off here for now, at least, seeing as next week starts it's the next part and my own little arc thingy. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Please leave a like if you did, and leave any suggestions you may have in the comments below. Until next time, have a nice day, everyone.